back to the channel. Today I'm going to take you guys through an end-to-end data engineering project built entirely inside Snowflake. You don't need any external tools. You don't need Power BI, no Python notebooks. You just need Snowflake in your hand to complete the whole project, turning this raw data into this dashboard. We load the hotel data into Snowflake and we'll make the data go through the data transformation layers across bronze, silver and gold. And these transformations are done using a few SQL queries in Snowflake SQL notebooks. And finally, when we have the clean, structured and ready data, we stay right there in Snowflake and we create a good looking dashboard at the end using Snowsight. By the way, you can get all the files that are used in this project, including .csv files and all the SQL queries that are used, from the link down below in the description. Let's begin. Before stepping into the technical part, we have to be clear with these three. First, the business requirement, next the architecture of the project that we are going to follow, and then the data that we are going to deal with. Starting with business requirement. This includes the problems that we're going to solve in this project. And here, starting with background, which is our client's background. The background goes like the hotel has raw, inconsistent booking data and lacks a clear view of monthly revenue, booking trends, and city level performance. Management needs quick, accurate insights for decision making. They basically have raw data and they're struggling to get the insights. So we are going to help our client to get the insights for their hotel bookings. And the objectives that we're going to achieve by the end, which include clean and standardized booking data, show monthly revenue and monthly bookings, identify top revenue generating cities, analyze bookings by type and status, display key KPIs like total revenue, total booking. And then the functional requirements, which includes cleaning the raw data set, basically dealing with the null values and assigning the accurate data types to the data and stuff like that. And then it goes to transform data to monthly aggregates, making the data business ready. And this business ready data will be next used to create dashboards by creating the visuals first, and then exposing KPIs on dashboard. These are the final deliverables, which includes accurate monthly matrices, correct KPIs, dashboard, easy to interpret, no data quality issues in the final output. So the data should be crystal clear at the end that we're going to use for the dashboard. So this is it with the business requirement. Next, heading to the architecture of the project, which is this one. So our architecture of the project starts with the data source first, where we get the data from, and then everything from that will be deal with the Snowflake. Everything from the beginning to the end will be a Snowflake native. Everything, nothing. We are not going to use any external tool other than Snowflake, even for the visualization. So the data source first gets into Snowflake and stored into. We're going to create a stage first, and then we store that data from the data source in that stage first, and then we create a table for the bronze layer, and then the raw data from that stage will be stored into this bronze layer table, and then the data in the bronze layer will be clean, then stored in a silver table. After that, we're going to make the data business ready. We're going to pick the columns that we are going to need and convert those columns by aggregating and grouping, and convert those data into business ready data that we're going to use for the dashboard after. And then we store that in a gold layer in the Snowflake itself, gold layer table. Yes, even the data processing, the whole data processing will be done in Snowflake itself. We're not going to use any external tool like dbt or Databricks for data transformation. Everything is handled by Snowflake. Even for the visualization, we're going to use Snowsight for creating the dashboard after. And that's the architecture. It's simple, totally Snowflake native. And next, heading to the data that we're dealing with here is basically hotel booking data, which basically includes booking ID, hotel city, and then customer ID, the customer who books the hotel, and then customer name of the customer who books the hotel, and the customer email, check-in date, the check-in date, which means when the actual the customer actually check-ins, and the checkout date, and the room type. It is like premium and standard. Here we use standard, suite, deluxe. So there are three types of rooms here, and there are number of guests. So if a customer books a room, he don't just book for himself, right? There might be multiple people. So here the number of guests includes is included in this data, and then there is total amount paid for that booking. And there is currency type, USD, INR, EUR, European dollars. And then booking status, if it is confirmed, no show, or cancelled, all this data is in this CSV file. So we're going to import this into Snowflake, and then we go further, we do the further data processing and visualization with this data. Now, for anyone who don't know or who never created a Snowflake account, go ahead and create one. Because Snowflake offers a 30-day free trial and also a $400 worth of free credit that you can use in this 30-day free trial period. You don't need to put in any of your payment information in order to get this free trial access. You just need to put in a new email ID whenever you create the account, and you'll get this free trial privileges. That is that. And the link for that free trial sign up will be given in the link down below in the description. And also along with that link, I'm also going to give you the link for this CSV file so you can download it. Both are in the description. Yes. After you sign up, after you log in, this will be the home page of Snowflake. Close that. Yes. Now, our first step is to create a database and create a file format, and then create a stage where we load that CSV file into Snowflake and hold that file in stage for temporarily for a while, and then we transfer that to bronze stage. Let me show you. First, we're going to create an SQL file. Here, we're going to create a database. There you go. So we created a database using this query, create database hotel DB, and here's the output. It says successfully created. Now, after that successfully created, we can confirm it by using the catalog, where our data will be listed here. Everything will be listed here, all the databases. There you go. We created the database. Initially, it comes with two schemas, information schema and public schema. Schemas are basically like folders in our computer. We just use them to segregate our tables inside Snowflake in our database, basically. You can use these schemas that are pre-created, or we can create our own schemas. I'm going to use the public schema here. Now let's head back to the notebook. We have the database. Let's create the file format. Now this is the query to create the file format. I want to say something. SQL is not case sensitive, which means you can write this whole query in lowercase and it still functions the same way. But you have to be careful when you write something enclosed by quotes, because if you enclose that particular object or particular string in quotes, that will be case sensitive here. I just want to say that. Next, yeah, here we define the type first as CSV, because we're going to import a CSV file, and then field optionally enclosed by. This is to make sure if any of the field has any string enclosed by quotes, we're just basically saying SQL to ignore those quotes and just pull the string out and load that in. Let's say if you have this CSV file and this field here, this customer name is enclosed by double quotes at both the sides or single side. So when it loads this data into the table, it just ignores the whole quotes, all the quotes, and includes this customer name alone. And that's why we say we use this line here, and then we have skip header. We use that because when we import a CSV file, the first row will be the headings, right? The booking ID, hotel ID. We don't need that headings to be imported as well, because we're going to define those titles in the table creation anyway, so we don't want those titles to be here as well. So we're going to take that first row out. That's why we use skip header. And then we have null if. Null if basically says if any of these values matches with any of the field, replace that with null. Here we have these three: a null in capitals as a string, null in lowercase as a string, or no value at all in that field. So if any of these three occurs in any of the field, replace that with null value. Okay, now we have the file format ready. Our next step is to create the stage. Like I said, we have to create the stage. Stage is like a waiting room for the file. So if we load the file into the stage, we just temporarily hold the file in the stage until we pull the data out of that CSV file into an actual table. So we're going to create that. So this query is basically creating the stage hotel booking stage. So this is the name of the stage. So we're creating that stage with accepting this file format. Okay, I think we haven't run this query yet, right? Let's run that first. Okay, file format ffcsv successfully created, and then we create the stage that is created too. If we refresh this, you should be able to see that stage created inside the public schema and also the file format that we created here. CSV, and then there's the stage. Okay. Now we're all set with the stage. So we have the location to store the file. Now we need to import the file here into the stage. To do that, we have to head back to the stage that we created here, right here, and you can see the plus file symbol here. Click on that button, browse, or you can just pick that. I'm going to say browse, then get that CSV file, upload it. Go to files. There you go. Now we uploaded the CSV file. Now it is in the waiting room, which is stage. Okay. We got the file into the Snowflake. Now we have to create a bronze table where we store the raw data. Before storing into the bronze table, we're going to parse the data inside the CSV file into separate columns, because we just imported the raw CSV, just the file into this, right? We have to parse the data into separate columns and then store the data. For that, we're going to first create the bronze table. Create the bronze table. Let's name it Bronze Hotel Booking. Now you have to make sure you follow the sequence here, or else you'll misplace those data, those column data. So we have to go in this sequence. You start with booking ID and then go to hotel ID, hotel city, customer ID. Okay. Name, customer email, check-in date, check-out date. Room type, number of guests, total amount, currency, booking status. Okay, we should have 13 columns here. Yep. Okay, we created the bronze table now. We have to load it. We have to load the data from the file into this table. To do that, we can use copy into command. Copy into. Bronze hotel booking table from stage name, file format, prefer CSV. If any error, continue. That's it. So we use copy into command to copy into this table that we created from this staging table. I mean this stage, which is named as STG hotel bookings, and this file format, which is FFSC CSV, which we created at the beginning. And on error, if there is any of the if it faces any error with any row, it just continues with the next row. You don't collapse the whole process. Okay, let's execute it. Here, if the status says loaded and rows parsed equal 2000, rows loaded equals 2000, error limit 2000, error seen is 0, so 0 errors. Yes. So if we see the status as loaded, which means the query executed successfully and the data is actually loaded into your table. To make sure, let's select a few columns, few rows from that table. Select all from limit. Select 50 rows. Okay. Yep, that confirms. We have the data in the table now. Okay, now we are here, which means we're done with the first step. We got the data source and we loaded that in the bronze layer. Now we are here. Our next step would be cleaning the data and storing that in the silver layer. For that, we have to create the silver table first. But what are the cleanings that we have to do here? We have to assign the data types appropriately for every column first, right? Because we assign string for every single column here, because that is easier to first, in the first stage, that is easier to just import all the data as strings. And then now we have to create or assign the particular data types to that columns. And then we check the other errors as well in the data, and then we correct them. First, let's create the silver table. just going to copy paste this. I'm not going to waste the time. But city is varchar, customer ID is varchar, the name too, and the email too. But the date, it is not varchar. Date. Also for the checkout date. Then room type, varchar. This is integer. Because that's a number, right? Number of guests, so that's integer. Total amount, float. Well, it can be decimal value, so this is float and that is integer. Status also okay. Perfect. Now we're just creating the skeleton of the table. We're not importing the data into the table. We're just creating the skeleton first with all the data types assigned already. That's it. Now let's create that. Table is created successfully. Means we should be able to see that under the catalog right here. Yep, right now it's empty. And now we have the table created. Now let's see what we can, what are the cleaning steps that we can follow here. Starting with, let's see if there is any invalid customer emails. I can see a few already, but let's dive in using now with this query, I'm going to select all the rows where there is a customer email with this where there is not, because I use where not, where there is not this customer email format, which has @ and dot in the middle. So I'm going to select that emails or the email that are null. I'm going to check if there is any emails that are not in this format or they are not nulls. Right, yeah. Okay. So we have this string that is stored in the customer emails that says invalid email. There are a lot of them, right? And these are all invalid. We have to deal with this. We have to clean that. Okay. And now what else we can clean? We have total amount here, but I see a few negative values in this total amount, which shouldn't be possible, right? It should be positive. It cannot be negative. So let's write a query for that to find out. We're selecting all the rows. I mean, not all the whole row. We're just selecting the total amounts, all the total amounts from the table bronze, where the total amount is less than 0. So we're only the negative values will be printed now, if there are any. Yep, there are. So there are negative total amounts in the data. We have to fix that. We don't just take the whole field out. We just convert these negative values into positive, because there are, I think they're just technical glitches or errors. So we can just convert these negative values into positives, so we don't lose the data. Now let's check if any of the check in data is greater than check out data, because the check in date should be uh, prior to checkout dates, right? Or if it's the other way around, it doesn't make sense. So we have to check that as well. In case if you let's check that. Okay. This query is going to print the check-in dates and checkout dates from all the rows where the checkout date is less than check-in date, and that is error. We have to fix it. So let's find out. And there are a few rows with that error, where this one in this case here it says to 2026 131. So this is the check-in date, and checkout date is 2025, which is obviously less than the check-in date. So that doesn't make sense. We have to fix that. In case of check-in date and checkout date, we just have to take out the whole row. We cannot keep it because that's errors, and we cannot predict what goes in that position actually. So we can just take the whole row out, and then for the booking status, I see some typos here. Like here it says the confirmed spelled wrong. There are 3 E's. So it's supposed to have only 1 E. So I'm going to find those typos now. Just printer, I just selected the booking status, but I kept distinct, so it don't just print all the, all the rows. It only selects the distinct one, only the distinct one. And here it says no show, which is fine, cancel, which is fine, confirm, which is fine, and there are few null values, that's fine. And there is confirmed spelled wrong. So we also have to fix confirmed. We have to make sure it's spelled right while we clean the data. Okay. Now we know what we have to clean. We already deal with the data types. We already assigned it in the table itself. Now we have to insert the data into the table, into the silver table, while we take care of these headers, right? Starting with the column. Here, the hotel city, I'm going to use init cap. So this makes any initial alphabets in the word capitals, uppercase. For example, so if there is Tracy Ortega. Tracy Ortega. This is just an example, by the way. So there is Ortega. So when I say init cap, it converts this into this. So it makes the initial alphabets to uppercases. So just to make it look good, and that's the way it should be, right? So, and the trim, if the trim takes out any extra spaces in that syntax, in that string. So let's say have this J, and if there is any extra spaces in the field like this, so it takes all this extra space out of that field. That's how trim works. So it's just a best practice for data cleaning. In case if there is any, it takes them out. Then I'm going to use this again. Now, let's fix our first error that we just found out, which is the email one. So we have to take anything out that is not in this format from email, right? So let's filter that out using case when. Replace the rest of them with nulls. In the case, we alias it with as customer email. That's it. Okay. Here I'm just trying to avoid the null values. I mean the empty spaces. Here I'm just checking if the check-in date has nothing in the field, replace that with a null value using null if function here. So I did the same thing for check-in date and the checkout date. And then we have room type. So here I'm just trying to fix that negative total amount error. You know what? I don't think we even need that case when here. We can just write I think we can just write this because here we're trying to convert the negative values into positive numbers, right? So here we're just using absolute function, absolute of try to number total amount. We're using try to number because initially from the bronze table it is string. So we're converting into number first, and then we're trying to convert it into an absolute value. So any negative numbers will be still converted to positive and then assigned, and then aliased with total amount. Okay, moving on. We have currency. And then we have to fix the other error that we found out, which is this one, the typo in booking status. We only see one error here, right? Confirmed. But we can even add more just in case. Should not be capital, lowercase. All right. Here, we're just checking if booking status is any of these two. If it is, we're just replacing it with the actual spelling, confirmed. I mean, I just showed you this example because we can add, I mean, just to say we can add more that type of errors. But here we only need this one because that's the error we have here. We only need this one, but just in case, in future, if we find any more words that are spelled wrong, we can just add it in that particular parenthesis and then do that filter. Okay, we're done with the booking status. Moving on. I think we're done with all the columns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, we're done with all 13 columns. And the from is bronze table. I'm going to paste it. Then write date, picking date, So here we got all the cleaning done already, but we didn't do this error. We didn't fix this error, right? Where the checkout date is less than check-in date. That is what we fixed at the end. We made sure both of them are not null, and then at the end we also made sure to only get the rows where try to date checkout date is greater than or equal to check-in date. It cannot be less than check-in date. So only those rows will be taken out and loaded into silver table, and the rest will be deleted. I mean, not deleted, will be left out. So that is how we filtered all these errors, and then we can insert the actual valid cleaned data into the silver table. Okay, now we have all the query. Now let's run that from the beginning. Okay, there is an error at line 81. Is this one, and the error is I think it's this one, the alias. I said check-in date twice, so it should be checkout date. Now let's try that again. No. It says unexpected try to date. Try to date nullify. Oh. These both lines are missing commas. I mean, these both objects. Fix that. And at 92, 2. It should be where. It should be where class, but I used when here. Okay. Where. Now what? Line 74, customer ID, invalid identifier. Means I spelled it wrong. It should be customer ID. Then here there should not be any semicolon in here. Okay. I think that's it. Now it should work. All right, that worked. And because we filtered out all the rows with the checkout date is less than check-in date, we only got 1729 columns into the silver table, which means the rest 271 records are taken out because of this error, which is fine. Let's check. The data is actually inside the table. All from silver table. Set 30. Yep, we got the data in. And yes, we replaced the invalid emails as nulls. Yes, I think the typos are also cleaned. Okay, now we have the silver table here, which means in our architecture we're also done with the second step. Now we have to head to the third step. We cleaned the data and we stored it in the silver layer. Now we have to make the data business ready, only pick the columns that we actually use, and then make it business ready and store it in gold layer. Okay, let's head to that. Now for our next step, to make the data business ready and store that in the gold layer, let's have a look at what we actually need again. What we have to do, we have to show monthly revenue and monthly booking, right? And also we have to identify the top revenue generating cities. So let's create a separate table to achieve this, to show monthly revenue and monthly booking, and also another table for this to identify the top revenue generating cities. Let's do that. I'm gonna leave this from for now, empty for now. Through by check. Order by date. Or we can just put the silver table. Okay. Now we grouped the check-in date and then ordered by date. So we can just visualize it in a line chart in an order by date format, and then we counted the total bookings, used count of all as total bookings because that is the count of booking, and then we sum the total amount for that particular date. So for every single date, the total amount will be summed, and that was shown as total revenue. We did that. We haven't divided that into months, but we just divided that as dates because we can divide that as months while we create the dashboard in the Snowsight itself. So we can do that at that time. For now, I just did this. I just grouped by check-in date and ordered by date, and then created the columns total booking and total revenue end date. And for our next one, which is identifying top revenue cities, create another table. So city sales, select hotel city, city, ordered by total revenue. Okay. Now I selected hotel city, then I added up all the total revenue by grouping the hotel city. So we know how much of the revenue a particular city is generated. And then we ordered that by total revenue. So it goes like the top one at the beginning, and the city with the least revenue is at the end. We've done that. And now we can run these two, I think. Okay, that is created, and let's create this one too. Yep. Now we have these two, and for the KPIs, we're not sure what we're going to use, right? What columns we're going to use. So let's just select all the columns and create another goal table with all the columns. I'm not going to filter anything out. I'm just going to create all the columns. Here. And then say from same table. Create that. Yep. So we created 3 tables in this goal layer. One for the line charts for total booking and total revenue, and the next one for the top cities with highest revenue, and the next one for any other extra chats that we can put in the dashboard, and also the KPIs. Because we're not sure what we're going to use, we selected all the columns just in case. Okay. Now let's find out if these tables are actually ordered in, ordered, no. These tables are actually created in our desired way. Let's first check this table out. Let's see. There you go. So we just selected 3 columns, I think. Yep, we just selected 3 columns. It shows the total bookings and total revenue accordingly. Let's do the same with the other 2. Perfect. Here we just selected 2 columns, which is hotel city and total revenue according to the city grouped by. Yep, that is perfect. And we don't need to look at the third table because that's the same columns that we used in the silver table. So we don't need to do that. With that, we're also done with the goal layer. We processed everything inside the Snowflake itself. We haven't used anything to process the data. We processed the data from bronze, silver, all the way to gold. Now, our next step is to create dashboard from this goal layer table. Okay, let's head to that. Since we're not connecting to any other external tool like Power BI or Tableau for the visualization, we are going to create a dashboard inside Snowflake itself by clicking on Create and then choosing Dashboard. Name the dashboard as Hotel Bookings Analytics. Now the dashboard is empty, but we're going to create the charts using clicking on New Title. We can create using both SQL or Python. I'm going to choose SQL. Okay, now let's check on them again. First, we need to create a line chart for monthly revenue and another line chart for monthly bookings. For that, now I've chosen gold AGG daily bookings table, which we created for the total revenue and total bookings. And I just selected date and total revenue here. And I ordered that by date. I don't think I have to order that by date again, right? I think I already ordered that, but leave it, that's fine. Now I'm going to run this. Before running this, I have to select the database that I created, or else this will not work. And public schema. Now run it. Okay. Gold AGG daily booking doesn't exist. Okay, that's weird. Oh shit. What about the table name that I created? Oh, it is booking. I think I said bookings there, so that's why it didn't work. Back to the dashboard. Shows the database schema. Okay, there it is. Now it should work. Order by date. I don't think order by date is necessary, but I'm going to use it anyway. Not sure. Okay. Now we got the data here. Now when we switch to chat, here we haven't splitted that, windowed that date, the time span to months. So it is still in days. But this line chart is so clumsy. But what we need here is monthly revenue. So right here, click on the date drop down, shows the bucketing and bucket it to month. So it shows monthly revenue here. This is looking good now. Now name this as monthly revenue. There you go. Now for the monthly bookings, it is almost the same as monthly revenue. So I'm going to copy the same query that I wrote here. Click on new title. But here we're going to switch this bookings. I think it is. Okay, now I'm gonna run that. Forgot to choose the database. Okay, it's total booking, not bookings. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, now that worked. Switching into chat and then bucketing to month. Perfect. That. We have that. Now, next one is to identify the top revenue generating cities. For that, let's create another SQL worksheet. Shows the database. Here, we're selecting total city and total revenue. Because it is already grouped by city and the total revenue is already summed up, we just selected total city and total revenue, and then we made sure the total revenue is not null because there is a null value. There are few null values, by the way. So I made sure there is no null values in the result. And then order by total revenue descending. So the top city will be at the top of the list. And then I limited it to 5. So it only prints top 5 cities, not all of them. When I run that, I can see the top 5 cities. Switch it to chat, leave it as bar chart. Rename it. Top cities per revenue. That's a good name. Okay. And we have another bar chart. Now we already fulfilled these two objectives, and next we have analyze booking by type and status, have to do that and also display KPIs. First, let's do the analyze booking by type and status. First, I'm gonna choose the room type, and I'm going to choose the actual goal table with no aggregations at all, the simple table that we created. Selected room type, then I counted all the bookings while I grouped by room type. So it grouped by the room type and then count all the records, which will be the total bookings. And I ordered that the whole in the whole output by total bookings and in descending order. When I run that, there you go. I also have a null value, 2 null values by the way, but that's fine. The result doesn't show the null value anyway. So there is deluxe, suite, and standard room type. Indent. Perfect. Now we have another bar chart. Our next one is the status. The status, create another SQL worksheet. I want to use the same table, by the way. Status. Notice on that. Here I just chosen booking status and same as the other one, same as the way I did the type. I grouped here by booking status and then I counted the total bookings. There you go. Bookings by status. So it shows how many confirmed bookings, how many canceled, how many no show. Now, I think these charts are enough. Now let's head to the KPIs. For the first KPI, let's do the total revenue. We just added up the total amount for the total revenue. Let's run that. There it is. But here we need the KPI, right? The KPI card, which is scorecard here. This will be visible. Let's name it. It's total revenue. And for the second KPI, we're going to do the bookings. Okay, I just counted all the records. I mean, that's basically the total bookings, right? So I just counted all the records as total bookings. Just from that. Switch that to scorecard as well. Name it. For our next KPI, like I said, I'm going to use average booking value. The database first. Total amount as now we got the average booking value. Turn that into scorecard as well. Rename it. There you go. And for the last KPI is total guests. There you go. I just added up all the guests to see the total guests. That's it. That's one more. That's our last KPI. Okay. It says there is no column named guests. Oh, it says none guests. Okay. Not just guests. So it's not just guests, it's none guests. Yeah. You got that column? There you go. Switch that to scorecard 2. Yes. Rename it. Total guests. Return. I'll resize this because KPIs doesn't need that much of space in the dashboard. Okay, that is good. And this part plot as well. With that last KPI, our dashboard is now ready. It fulfills every objective that we discussed before. The client needs actually. So the client need a monthly revenue and monthly booking. We have charts, we have line charts for both of them, and we need to identify top revenue generating cities, which is this one. We shown the top 5 revenue generating cities right here, and for the monthly revenue and monthly booking line charts right here. Then the next one is analyze bookings by type and status, which we also did right here with these 2 bar charts. We analyze status and we analyze type by bookings. And lastly, they asked for to display a few key KPIs, which should include total revenue, total bookings. We included total bookings and total revenues. Also, we did KPIs for total guests and average booking value. With that, our whole dashboard is ready, and it also delivers everything the client needs. Shows accurate monthly metrics, correct KPIs, dashboard easy to interpret, no data quality issues in the final output. We cleaned everything. Okay. Now we're officially done with the last step as well. Now let's have a recap. We got the data as a CSV file, and then we created a staging table in Snowflake, and then we created a file format, and then we ingested the file into Stage, where the Stage holded the file for temporarily, and then we created a bronze table. We ingested data into bronze table, which is the raw data, and then we cleaned the data, ingested into silver layer, and then we made the data business ready, and then ingested into gold table. After that, we created a dashboard using Snowsight. Here, we completed the whole data pipeline just by using Snowflake and without using any external tool. We haven't used any tool like dbt Databricks for data processing. We just done that in Snowflake itself. And also for the dashboard, we haven't used Power BI or Tableau. We did that using Snowsight. So yes, this is a fully Snowflake-native project. You can add it to your portfolio if you are interested in applying for jobs, which basically includes emphasizes Snowflake as a skill. And yes, with that, we're done with the video. I'm going to be back with another new video by next week probably. Until then, adios.